bookworms! Today I am finally here to do my bookshelf tour! This video has been the most requested video of any other on my channel. Usually at least 1 to 2 people comment on every single video asking for a bookshelf tour. So today I am here to do that for you, and I'm going to stop talking now because I have a lot of shelves to show you, so let's go! First shelf. It is my contemporary favorite shelf and also favorite authors in contemporary, even if I haven't necessarily read them yet. So I'll show you what I have here. First, I have a heart full of Tsum Tsums, which are going to fall down, which is why my hand is here. Sorry. Then I have the Beauty and the Beast pop-up book by Robert Sabuda and 2 Harry Potter mugs that I got as a gift at my bridal shower a couple of weeks ago. The Distance Between Us by Casey West, The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han, and We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, which is the summer trilogy. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, Bells, Winter White, and The Grass is Always Greener by Jen Calanito, which is the Bells trilogy. Bunheads by Sophie Flack, Austenland by Shannon Hale, Tiny Pretty Things by Sonia Chirapota and Danielle Clayton, Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After, all by Stephanie Perkins, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and P.S. I Still Love You, both by Jenny Han, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, Nantucket Blue and Nantucket Red, both by Layla Howland, I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson, Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord, Open Road Summer by Emery Lord, Pivot Point and Split Second, both by Casey West, Brooklyn Girls, Love and Chaos, both by Gemma Burgess. Next, I have the beginnings of my rainbow contemporary standalone shelf. I also have it decorated with Anna. That's like a bust that I got from the Disney store, and then that little love statue I got at a museum. It's Robert Indiana's famous love statue that's all over the place. First, I have Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, Tell Me 3 Things by Julie Buxbaum, The Royal We by Heather Cox and Jessica Morgan, Drama Rama by E. Lockhart, Wool by Hugh Howey, Ripper by Stefan Petruka, In Honor by Jessica Kirby, Famous Last Words by Katie Allender, Emmy and Oliver by Robin Benway, Bookishly Ever After by Isabel Bandera, The Secrets We Keep by Trisha Lever, Frostfire by Amanda Hawking, Sweet Scarlet by Maureen Johnson, Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion, Paper Towns by John Green, Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan, The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertelli, I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios, Jellicoe Road by Melina Marchetta, World War Z by Max Brooks, Great by Sarah Benincasa, another edition of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This one is from Chapters in Canada. The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey, Golden by Jessie Kirby, On the Fence by Casey West, Jessie's Girl by Miranda Keenly, Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan, You by Carolyn Kepnes, The Martian by Andy Weir, and Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Continuing on with my rainbow shelf, I have my yellow and green books. I have a little Cher Funko Pop figure and an Elsa bust to match the Anna bust from the shelf before. First, I have Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, Life by Committee by Corey Ann Haydu, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera, This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith, Neuromancer by William Gibson, and this is actually the book that inspired the Matrix movies, Meant to Be by Lauren Morrill, Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini, Vivian Apple at the End of the World by Katie Coyle, Sunshine by Robin McKinley, Uprooted by Naomi Novik, Something Real by Heather Demetrios, The Duff by Cody Keplinger, The Disenchantments by Nina LaCour, OCD A Love Story by Corey Ann Haydu, The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, Fixing Delilah by Sarah Ockler, 99 Days by Katie Cotugno, Things I Can't Forget by Miranda Keenly, Along for the Ride by Sarah Dessen, Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen, The Land of 10,000 Madonnas by Kate Hattenmer, Proof of Forever by Lexa Hillier, Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella, Mosquito Land by David Arnold, The Moon and More by Sarah Dessen, The Fangirl's Guide to the Galaxy by Sam Maggs, Scarlett Epstein Hates It Here by Anna Breslaw, Generation Dead by Daniel Waters, and Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. Next I have a green and blue shelf, and I have a little Belle Funko Pop and a little Doctor Who TARDIS from, I think, Titan merchandise. I got it at a convention. It came in like a blind box. First I have Boomerang by Noel August. Then I have My True Love Gave to Me, which is edited by Stephanie Perkins, and it includes a whole lot of authors, including Rainbow Rowell and Holly Black and Allie Carter and Jenny Han and Gail Foreman, and a whole lot of other authors that are also awesome. Then I have Beauty Queens by Libba Bray, That Summer by Sarah Dessen, My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick, 20 Boy Summer by Sarah Ackler, No Place to Fall by Jane Robin Brown, Bittersweet by Sarah Ackler, My Fair Lady by Laura Wetterson, Nowhere But Home by Liza Palmer, Jacoby by William Ritter, Hello I Love You by Katie M. Stout, The Geography of Me and You by Jennifer E. Smith, The Perfectionists by Sarah Shepard, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, Charm and Strange by Stephanie Kuhn, Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle, and this is actually being made into a movie later this year. Up to This Point by Jennifer Longo, The Last Time We Say Goodbye by Cynthia Hand, The Chaos of Stars by Kirsten White, Between Us and the Moon by Rebecca Maisel, Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen, The Enchanted by Renee Denfield, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, All Lined Up by Cora Carmack, The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson, which should actually be moved up to my favorite shelf now that I'm thinking about it, The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry, Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson, Two Summers by Amy Friedman, Racing Savannah by Miranda Keenly, and How to Love by Katie Cotugno. Continuing on, I have my pink and purple shelf. I have more nail polish, and I have little Aladdin Vinylmations of Jasmine, and then like a painted one, and I also have a pink Eiffel Tower. First I have Anansi Boys by Neil Gaiman, Catching Jordan by Miranda Keenly, Summer of Yesterday by Gabby Triana, What I Thought Was True by Huntley Fitzpatrick, The Art of Lainey by Paula Stokes, First by Lori Elizabeth Flynn, A School for Unusual Girls by Kathleen Baldwin, The Museum of Intangible Things by Wendy Wonder, Wander Love by Kirsten Hubbard, The Book of Broken Hearts by Sarah Ackler, Keeping the Moon by Sarah Dessen, Love Letters to the Dead by Ava Delaria, For Darkness Shows the Stars by Diana Peterfrund, The Dreamland Social Club by Tara Altabrando, Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, my third edition of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This one was exclusive to independent bookstores, and I got my copy at the Strand. The Queen of Bright and Shiny Things by Anne Aguirre, The Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Suzanne, The Summer of Chasing Mermaids by Sarah Ackler, Landline by Rainbow Rowell, Meet Me at the Cupcake Cafe by Jenny Colgan, The Wrong Side of Right by Jen Marie Thorne, The Merciless by Danielle Vega, Making Pretty by Corianne Haydu, City Love by Suzanne Colasanti, Stealing Parker by Miranda Keenly, This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales, and my fourth and final copy of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This one was from Barnes & Noble. Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. This is a short story that she wrote for World Book Day, and I was able to order a copy on Amazon for like really cheap. The Fill-In Boyfriend by Casey West, Breathe Annie Breathe by Miranda Keenly, and 3 Day Summer by Savernez Tash. Then I have a black and white shelf. First is When We Collided by Emily Lord, Nowhere But Here by Katie McGarry, Starstruck and Love Me by Rachel Schukert, and they're both part of the Starstruck series, Slice of Cherry by Daya Reeves, A Mad Wicked Folly by Sharon Biggs Waller, Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, Just One Day by Gail Foreman, The Time-Traveling Fashionista by Bianca Turetsky, Moonglass by Jessie Kirby, Audrey Waite by Robin Benway, The Book of Ivy by Amy Engel, My Assigned Arc of Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, Codename Verity by Elizabeth Ween, Every Day by David Levithan, If I Stay and Where She Went, both by Gail Foreman, Looking for Alaska by John Green, Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan, After the Woods by Kim Savage, Roomies by Sarah Zarr and Tara Altabrando, Scandal by Sarah Ackler, Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout, Dead to Me by Mary McCoy, Daughter of Deep Silence by Carrie Ryan, Famous in Love by Rebecca Searle, The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, The Lover's Dictionary by David Levithan, Marie Antoinette Serial Killer by Katie Allender, Let's Get Lost by Adi El-Cid, Magnolia by Christy Cook, Dangerous Girls by Abigail Haas, Dream a Little Dream by Kirsten Gear, Far From You by Tess Sharp, and Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman. Next, I have my Peter Pan shelves. So on the very top, I have a Peter Pan teapot that I got at Hot Topic. I have a Tinkerbell Funko figure that I painted pink and customized, and I made her wings sparkly. Then I have Peter Pan, Captain Hook, Tinkerbell, and a Tinkerbell Barbie doll type thing that I got at the Disney store. Next, I have my Peter Pan bookshelf. So I have a Tinkerbell statue, a Captain Hook statue, Captain Hook and TikTok, Tsum Tsums, Tiger Lily and Peter Pan Vinylmations, and a Tinkerbell Disney Infinity figure. All of the books on the shelf are either copies of Peter Pan or they're books that were inspired by Peter Pan. First is the Puffin Chalk edition of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, Peter and the Starcatchers by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson, Peter and the Starcatchers, Peter and the Secret of Rundoon, and Peter and the Shadow Thieves, which are the Peter and the Starcatchers trilogy by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson, and Peter and the Sword of Mercy, also by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson, Wendy Darling by Colleen Oakes, Hook by K.R. Thompson. This one's already facing outward and it's Unhooked by Lisa Maxwell, another edition of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, also by Penguin, Never Never by Brianna Schrum, Second Star by Alyssa B. Scheinmel, Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, this one's from Barnes & Noble, another copy of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, also from Barnes & Noble, and lastly, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, and this one is published by HarperCollins. Next, I have my first Harry Potter shelf, and at the top, I'll go through all the Funko figures first. So it's Harry in the Sorting Hat, and that was a Barnes & Noble exclusive. Then I have Dumbledore from the Goblet of Fire, Sirius Black. Then coming to the bottom, I have Draco Malfoy, Snape, Voldemort, Luna Lovegood, Neville, which was also a Barnes & Noble exclusive, I believe. It was either Barnes & Noble or Hot Topic, I can't remember off the top of my head. Then Dumbledore and Dobby. And then also on the shelf, I have a Golden Snitch. And to the left, I have Hedwig in a Cage, which is from the Noble Collection. So this is going to seem repetitive because it's the Harry Potter series over and over, but the first collection that I'm going to show is the Signature Edition, which is from the UK, and I got my set from Book Depository. The first one being Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, obviously all by J.K. Rowling. Then I have a box set of the new UK covers of Harry Potter, The Philosopher's Stone, The Chamber of Secrets, The Prisoner of Azkaban, The Goblet of Fire, The Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. Then I have the Hogwarts Library box set. This includes The Tales of the Beetle Bard, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Quidditch Through the Ages. Then I have 2 copies of Harry Potter, and the rest of them are still actually being published one at a time. So I pre-ordered the next 2, and the pre-orders for those after that haven't come up yet. I like these ones a lot because they come in really pretty slipcases. So first is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, then is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And that's just what the books look like without the slipcases on. And then lastly, which is really difficult to get out of the box, so I'm not actually going to show all the covers for, are the new US paperbacks that have artwork by Kazuo Kibishi. The main draw for these anyway is that the spines make up the Hogwarts castle, so that's really the most important part of those books. Then I have my second Harry Potter shelf, which I feel like is going to have to expand into a third Harry Potter shelf at some point, in the very near future. So I have the Cedric Diggory Triwizard Tournament Funko figure, and that one was exclusive to Hot Topic. Then I have Harry in the Triwizard robes. Then I have the first ones that were released, the Ron, Harry, and Hermione, and behind them is Hagrid. And then I have Draco, and that was another Hot Topic exclusive. Then I have Harry in his Quidditch robes, Hermione in her outfit for the Yule Ball, and Ron in his dress robes also for the Yule Ball. Then actually behind Harry and Cedric on the left side, I have a picture frame of the Mirror of Erised, which I got at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So first on the shelf is the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Then I have Harry Potter the Creature Vault, Harry Potter Magical Places from the Films, Harry Potter Film Wizardry, and Harry Potter the Character Vault. Then we have the Sorcerer's Stone, the Chamber of Secrets, the Prisoner of Azkaban, the Goblet of Fire, the Order of the Phoenix, the Half-Blood Prince, and the Deathly Hallows. Next, I have a classic shelf that is decorated with lots of Beauty and the Beast stuff. So first I have Mrs. Potts and Chip, which are Funko figures, Lumiere, who's also a Funko figure, the Enchanted Rose from Beauty and the Beast, which I got at Disney World, Beast statue, a Belle statue, a Beast Funko, and a Belle Funko. So to the left, I have a bunch of Penguin hardcover classics. First is Matilda by Roald Dahl, Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, The Wizard of Oz by Frank L. Baum, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgkin Burnett, Robin Hood by Roger Lancelyn Green, The Call of the Wild by Jack London, A Little Princess by Frances Hodgkin Burnett, and The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. Then I have a set of books that are all about mythical creatures, and I purchased mine on ModCloth, but I believe you can also get them on Amazon. First is Fairies by Skye Alexander, Mermaids by Skye Alexander, Wizards by Aubrey Sherman, and Unicorns by Skye Alexander. Then the next column are the Penguin Word Classics editions, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Emma by Jane Austen, The Odyssey by Homer, Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, which is my only copy of Peter Pan that's not actually on the Peter Pan shelf, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, The Romantic Poets, which is a mix of lots of different authors, and Persuasion by Jane Austen. Then I have Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this is the edition that is illustrated by Anna Bond, and this is what it looks like without the cover, which is much prettier in my opinion. Then I have a bunch of Barnes & Noble hardcover classics editions. First is The Wizard of Oz by Frank L. Baum, and this includes the first 5 novels, and it also has emerald pages, which is really pretty. Then I have the Wrinkle in Time trilogy by Madeleine L'Engle, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll and Other Stories, Hans Christian Andersen, The Complete Fairy Tales, and The Snow Queen and Other Winter Tales. Then the shelf is kind of a hodgepodge of classic fiction and middle grade. So first I have some Disney Princess Funko figures and Olaf. First I have the Classics Illustrated edition of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Then I have the Classics Reimagined Illustrated edition of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle, The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, Wildwood by Colin Malloy with illustrations by Carson Ellis. Then I have the Folio Society editions of Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials, the first book being The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. Then I have 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, and The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgkin Burnett, and all of these are Barnes & Noble hardcover classics editions. Then I have The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick, which is such a beautiful book, and Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. Then I have the Emily trilogy by L.M. Montgomery, the first one being Emily of New Moon, the second one being Emily Climbs, and the third one being Emily's Quest. Then I have Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine, Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson, Fairy Tales from the Brothers Grimm retold by Philip Pullman. Then I have a bunch of the Penguin Christmas Classics editions, including The Night Before Christmas by Nikolai Gogol, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, Merry Christmas and Other Christmas Stories by Louisa May Alcott, The Nutcracker by E.T.A. Hoffman, and The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by L. Frank Baum. Then I have the Puffin in Bloom collection. This is illustrated by Anna Bond of Rifle Paper Co. First is Little Women, Anne of Green Gables, A Little Princess, and Heidi. Then I have a bunch of classics illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia. First I have Cinderella, or The Little Glass Slipper, Snow White, and Alice in Wonderland. Then I have Sleeping Beauty illustrated by Sarah Gibb, Rapunzel illustrated by Sarah Gibb, and Beauty and the Beast illustrated by Sarah Gibb. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, Seraphina and the Black Cloak by Robert Beatty, Dollbones by Holly Black, Inkheart by Cornelia Funk, Watership Down by Richard Adams, which was just announced that is being adapted into an animated show for Netflix, so I'm really excited about that. The Princess Bride by William Goldman, and finally, The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. This shelf is also kind of just a mix of some adult books, some fashion books, some nonfiction books about cherry blossoms and about cleaning. So I'm not actually going to go through all of the books on this shelf, but I will show you a couple of ones where I really enjoy the covers. First is Beautiful Runes by Jess Walter, The Vacationeers by Emma Straub, Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and 2 books about cherry blossoms. Next I have my Tolkien themed shelf up top, complete with Lord of the Rings and Hobbit Funkos. First, I have the leather-bound pocket edition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit, which includes The Hobbit, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. Then I have my childhood edition of The Hobbit, the newly released Tolkien's World coloring book, The Illustrated Hobbit by Alan Lee, The Art of Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and Middle-earth Envisioned. Then I have my Folio Society edition of The Hobbit, and my Folio edition box set of The Lord of the Rings, which includes The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. Now this is fun because I'm starting to get into the fantasy areas on my bookshelf. So up on this first bookshelf, I have the Sphero BB-8 because that was necessary. Then I have the Sookie Stackhouse series by Charlene Harris, the first one being Dead Until Dark, then Living Dead in Dallas, Club Dead, Dead to the World, Dead as a Doornail, Definitely Dead, Altogether Dead, From Dead to Worse, Dead and Gone, Dead in the Family, Dead Reckoning, Deadlocked, and Dead Ever After. Then I have Sabriel by Garth Nix, Seraphina and Shadowscale, both by Rachel Hartman, The Diviners and Lair of Dreams, both by Libba Bray, Red Queen and Glass Sword, both by Victoria Aveyard, and the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor, which includes Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. Then I have The Queen of the Tierling and The Invasion of the Tierling, both by Erica Johansson, and Dreamer's Pool by Juliette Marillier. Next I have more fantasy, starting with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss, and The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear, both also by Patrick Rothfuss, and I cannot wait for the third book to come out already because we need it. Eon and Iona, both by Allison Goodman, Graceling by Kristen Kishore, and The Story Spinner and The Skylighter, both by Becky Wallace, and that is the Keeper's Chronicles duology. Then I have the Magicians trilogy by Lev Grossman, which includes The Magicians, The Magician King, and The Magician's Land. And that box set also comes with some really cool card things, so if you happen to buy that, you'll also get those. Then I have Truthwitch by Susan Dennard, In Ember and the Ashes by Saba Tahir, Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, Harry Potter with the Sword of Godric Gryffindor, that was a Hot Topic exclusive. Then I have the Lumitere Chronicles by Melina Marchetta, which includes Finnegan of the Roth, Quintana of Charon, and Froy of the Exiles. Then I have all of the books released so far in the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch, the first one being The Lies of Locke Lamora, the second one being Red Seas Under Red Skies, and the third one being The Republic of Thieves. Then I have the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, the first one being Assassin's Apprentice, the second one being The Royal Assassin, and the third one being Assassin's Quest. Then I have Stardust by Neil Gaiman, and then I have the Shadowfell trilogy by Juliette Marillier, which includes Shadowfell, Ravenflight, and The Caller. Next I have more fantasy, and first though I have a Rapunzel statue, a Jasmine statue, and a Snow White statue, and a lot of people have asked me about these because you can see them on my shelves in all my videos. I got them from the DisneyStore.com. You can also get them from Hallmark stores, and sometimes you can also find them on Entertainment Earth or Amazon. First I have the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. The first one is a collection of novellas, they're prequel novellas, and it's called The Assassin's Blade. Next is Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and Queen of Shadows. Then I have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and the second book comes out this Tuesday, so my shelf will definitely be shifting around to account for that one, which is gonna be huge. Then I have the Winner's Trilogy by Marie Rutkowski, the first one being The Winner's Curse, the second one being The Winner's Crime, and the third one being The Winner's Kiss. Then I have the Raven Cycle Quartet by Maggie Stiefvater, the first one being The Raven Boys, the second one being The Dream Thieves, the third one being Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and the fourth and final book being The Raven King, and all of them being amazing. Then I have the Wrath and the Dawn duology by Renee Audier, the first book being The Wrath and the Dawn, and the second book being The Rose and the Dagger. Then I have the Captive Prince trilogy by C.S. Picot, the first book being The Captive Prince, the second one being Prince's Gambit, and the third one being King's Rising. Then I have the Grisha trilogy by Lee Bardugo, the first one being Shadow and Bone, the second one being Siege and Storm, and the third one being Ruin and Rising. Then I have the His Fair Assassins trilogy by Robin Lefevers, the first book being Grave Mercy, the second book being Dark Triumph, and the third book being Mortal Heart. Then I have the Assassin's Curse and the Pirate's Wish, both by Cassandra Rose Clark. Then I have Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton, and the Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. Next, I have another shelf that has a lot of fairy tale retellings and some more fantasy, and it also has some Funko Pop figures and an Apple thing that I got at Sephora that has hand lotion in it. And yeah, now let's get to the books. So first I have The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, the prequel novella being Fairest, the first book being Cinder, the second book being Scarlet, the third book being Crest, the fourth book being Winter, and the short story collection being Stars Above. Then I have Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge, Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. Then I have the Selection series by Kiera Cass, the first one being The Selection, the second one being The Elite, the third one being The One, the fourth one being The Heir, the fifth one, which is The Crown, comes out this Tuesday, and then I also have the bind-up of the short story collection, which is Happily Ever After. Then I have The Siren, also by Kiera Cass, Madly by Amy Alward, which is the first book in the Potion series. Then I have the New Soul trilogy by Jodi Meadows, which includes Incarnate, Asunder, and Infinite. Then I have The Girl at Midnight and My Arc of the Shadow Hour, both by Melissa Gray, The Imposter Queen by Sarah Fine, and The Orphan Queen and The Mirror King, both by Jodi Meadows. Then I have The Shadow Queen by CJ Redwine, The Forbidden Wish by Jessica Corey, and Princess of Thorns by Stacey J. Next, I have a shelf of more series and stuff. This one has a Kid Robot cupcake, some more of those Disney statues that I told you about. The Rapunzel is just a mini version. I actually got her at Barnes & Noble. And then on the end, I have a Rapunzel Itty Bitty. If you can't tell, I kind of love Rapunzel. First, I have the Lindburn Legacy trilogy by Sarah Reese Brennan. The first book is Unspoken, the second book is Unmade, and the third book is Untold. Then I have A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows, both by V.E. Schwab. Then I have Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and one of my favorite series of all times by Victoria Schwab, The Archived and The Unbound, and the third book is expected to come out sometime soon, and I cannot wait. Then I have A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallero, The Fixer by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, The Conspiracy of Us and Map of Fates, both by Maggie Hall, Passenger by Alexandra Bracken, the Rebel Belle trilogy by Rachel Hawkins, which includes Rebel Belle, Miss Mayhem, and Lady Renegades. Then I have the Unearthly trilogy by Cynthia Hand, the first book being Unearthly, the second book being Hollowed, and the third book being Boundless. Then I have The Kiss of Deception and The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. Then I have Snow Like Ashes and Ice Like Fire, both by Sarah Rosh. Then I have the Iron Fae box set by Julie Kagawa. The first book is The Iron King, then The Iron Daughter, then The Iron Queen, and The Iron Knight. Then I have the Starbound trilogy by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, the first book being These Broken Stars, the second one being This Shattered World, and the third one being Their Fractured Light. Then I have the Something Strange and Deadly trilogy by Susan Dennard, the first book being Something Strange and Deadly, the second one being Strange and Ever After, and the third one being A Darkness Strange and Lovely. Then I have another shelf of more series, and I have my little TBR picture frame chalkboard thing that I sometimes use in Bookstagram photos. The first book I have here is Zodiac by Romina Russell. Then I have Firefight and Calamity by Brandon Sanderson, and I need to get a hardcover of Steelheart so I can complete that trilogy, but I really like the blue that they used in the paperback, and they need to remake a hardcover version of that because I really don't like the gray one, but I may have to just get it, we'll see. Then I have Reawakened by Colleen Hoke. Then I have Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane, Undertow and Raging Sea by Michael Buckley, and these are part of the Undertow trilogy. The Young Elites and the Rose Society by Marie Lu. Trial by Fire by Josephine Angelini. 2 bind-up editions of the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger. And 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. Then I have the UK box set of Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy, the first one being The Final Empire, the second one being The Wall of Ascension, and the third one being The Hero of Ages. Then I have the bind-ups of the Luck series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, The first one being Luck's Consequences, the second one being Luck's Beginnings. That's probably not right. Those should probably be flipped. And then the final one being Luck's Opposition. Then I have the Divergent trilogy by Veronica Roth. The first one being Divergent, the second one being Insurgent, and the third one being Allegiant. Then I have Alienated and Invaded, both by Melissa Landers. Then I have some more Harry Potter stuff. So I have a mug that I got at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Florida. And then I have the Sorting Hat pen holder from the Noble Collection. I have Luna Lovegood's wand, also from the Noble Collection, and then I will show you the two books. First is the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook and Harry Potter Page to Screen, The Complete Filmmaking Journey, which is one of the heaviest books ever. Next, I have a Harry Potter cross stitch that my friend Jill made me for my bridal shower. And I have a little Harry Potter tin that Andrew's parents let me have, and that's where I keep all of my chocolate frogs cards. First, I have the Sword of Shannara trilogy by Terry Brooks. Then I have the Inheritance Cycle Quartet by Christopher Paolini, the first book being Aragon, the second book being Eldest, the third book being Brisingar, and the fourth book being Inheritance. Then I have All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders, the Ascendance trilogy by Jennifer A. Nielsen, the first book being The False Prince, the second book being The Runaway King, and the third book being The Shadow Throne. Then I have the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, the first book being The Lightning Thief, the second book being The Sea of Monsters, the third book being The Titan's Curse, the fourth book being The Battle of the Labyrinth, and the fifth book being The Last Olympian. Then I have The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin, two versions of The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, two novel bind-ups of The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, and these include the first 6 books in the series. Then I have the Chronicles of Prydian series by Lloyd Alexander, the first book being The Book of Three, the second book being The Black Cauldron, the third book being The Castle of Lear, the fourth book being Terran Wanderer, and the fifth book being The High King. Then I have Fablehaven by Brandon Mull, The Alchemist by Michael Scott, and Storm Dancer by Jay Kristoff. Next, I have a shelf full of series. First, I have the Darkest Minds trilogy by Alexandra Bracken, which includes The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, and In the Afterlight. Then I have the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead, first one being Vampire Academy, then Frostbite, Shadow Kiss, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, and The Last Sacrifice. Then I have the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, which includes City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. Then I have the Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, and Maureen Johnson, the Shadowhunters Codex by Cassandra Clare and Joshua Lewis, and this is another book that just looks so much better without the cover on it. Then I have Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, which is Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. And finally, I have the Shatter Me trilogy by Tahira Mafi, the first one being Shatter Me, the second one being Unravel Me, and the third one being Ignite Me. Then I have another shelf that has mostly paperback series on it. Also have Katniss and Effie pop figures, but Effie unfortunately does not stand up and the little stand broke in the bottom of her foot, so that is her final resting place on my shelf. Then I have the Ruby Red trilogy by Kirsten Gier, which includes Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue, and Emerald Green. Then I have the first 2 books in the Waterfire saga by Jennifer Donnelly, the first one being Deep Blue and the second one being Rogue Wave. Then I have the Anna Dressed in Blood duology by Kendare Blake, the first one being Anna Dressed in Blood and the second one being Girl of Nightmares. Then I have the Cahill Witch Chronicles series by Jessica Spotswood, which include Born Wicked, Star Cursed, and Sister's Fate. Then I have the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy by Ray Carson, which includes The Girl of Fire and Thorns, The Crown of Embers, and The Bitter Kingdom. Then I have Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi, Dune by Carrie Core and Lori Langdon, Veronica Mars, The $1,000 Tan Line, and Mr. Kiss and Tell, both by Rob Thomas and Jennifer Graham. Then I have the Shades of London series by Maureen Johnson, the first book being The Name of the Star, the second one being The Madness Underneath, and the third one being The Shadow Cabinet. Then I have the Uglies Quartet by Scott Westerfeld, which includes Uglies, Pretties, Specials, and Extras. Then I have the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins, which includes The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. Then I have Amber House by Kelly Moore, Tucker Reed, and Larkin Reed. Then I have Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins, Angel Fall by Susan E., The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin, the first 2 books in the Chemical Garden trilogy by Lauren DeStefano, the first one being Fever and the second one being Wither, and Anti-Goddesses by Kendare Blake. This is honestly my worst looking shelf, and I'm really not going to go through it. It's just kind of a mix of things that I don't have another place for at the moment. I'm going to be having a horror shelf at some point once I acquire enough books to do that, so I have some horror like mixed in there, and I have a few arcs, and I have the Discovery of Witches trilogy, but the 3rd book is taller than the other 2, so it bothers me, and I never want to put them like on any of my other shelves. And then I also have a box of all of my bookmarks. I have a little Doctor Who figure, and I have the Doctor Who short story collection. This is honestly just a shelf of mugs because I have so very many Disney mugs and not enough cabinet space, so I decided to display my favorite ones here. Most of them are from the Fairy Tale collection, and then I also have Chip, of course, and then on the 2 ends I have the Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty like hair mug ones. But if you want to know any more about them, you can actually watch my mug collection video, which I'll link down below. And last shelf, this has my Time to Read pillow from Evie Bookish's Society 6 shop, my Hamilton soundtrack from when I got to see the musical, the Hamilton the Revolution book by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and 1776 by Dave McCullough. So those are all of the books that I have on these shelves. I have separate bookshelves for graphic novels and for manga and for adult books and then for some other books also, but these are like my main ones with my favorite things, so these are the ones that I really wanted to show you today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon in a new video. Bye!